Gemara. A pshat that I'm sure you will not forget. One of the most amazing sichos out there. Okay, in Ois Tes, so the Rebbe begins a new discussion. Up until Ois Tes, including Ois Ches, so we had finished explaining the order of the Frierdiker Rebbe's Maimer, and why the Rebbe explains Raya Mehemna, Kosis Lamar, first Raya Mehemna, then Kosis Lamar, and actually Kosis Lamar is an expression of Raya Mehemna. Sometimes Raya Mehemna will express itself in terms of Emunah coming into Pnimius, and that was Shayach to Moshe Rabbeinu's generation, Dor Deya, comes into a state of Das, he's Mashpia Das L'Yisrael, is what the Rebbe said. And sometimes that'll express itself in Mesiras Nefesh, like the generation of Mordechai. Right? And so, having dealt with the Frierdiker Rebbe's Maimer, now the Rebbe has to deal with the Pasuk, if you recall. Right? Because the Pasuk says, Veata tetzave b'nei Yisrael, that you should connect the Jewish people, well, simple pshat, you should command, but it means you should connect the Jewish people to Or Ein Sof. And they will bring to you Shem and Zayisach, Kosis Lamar, that's crushed to reveal the source of light, okay, the luminary. Now, what did that mean? What did Kosis Lamar mean? The crushedness of Golus brings about a revelation of Etzem and Neshama, the essence of the soul, that's expressed in Mesiras Nefesh. So now, the Pasuk therefore should, I mean, obviously can't read this way, but the Pasuk it should connect at Veata tetzave b'nei Yisrael. You're connecting the Jewish people to Or Ein Sof, which means you're connecting the Jewish people to the essence of their soul, to the extent that you're zan umfanes es amuna, you nourish the amuna, not that you nourish the amuna of the Jewish people, but you nourish the amuna itself, that the source of the amuna should be the essence of the soul, as opposed to any expression of the soul seeing Elokus in Elam Atzilus, Mazli Chazi. Okay, all these ideas should make sense based on what we learned in the Maimer. If not, review the Maimer. So that's all well and good. Veata tetzave b'nei Yisrael. And what's one of the expressions of Veata tetzave b'nei Yisrael? Kosis Lamar. Then in a time of crushedness, in a time of trials and tribulations, the Jews will come to a state of Mesiras Nefesh by virtue of connecting to the essence of their soul, which Moshe helps them do. So then what's V'yichoi Lecha, Shem and Zayis, what's that doing in the middle? Now we understand in Pshat why it's there, and you can't read the Pasuk, Veata tetzave b'nei Yisrael Kosis Lamar, that doesn't make any sense. But it is true that based on how the Frierdiker Rebbe has now explained the Pasuk is hard to read. And that's what the Rebbe wants to discuss now. Having explained that up until now, it's all been the order of the Frierdiker Rebbe's mind. Now it's the order of the Pasuk. Why is V'yichoi Lecha Shem and Zayazach, that the Jews should bring to you Shem and Zayazach, which we said means that we elevate Moshe Rabbeinu and bring about Tesofes Or, an increase in light in Moshe Rabbeinu. We have no clue what that means, but that's what the Rebbe told us. He didn't explain it. That interrupts the statement of you connect the Jewish people to the essence of their soul, and that's expressed in times of Golus by the crushedness of Golus, bringing about a revelation of that in Mesiras Nefesh. Why is the V'yichoi Lecha in the middle? Yeah? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's the question the Rebbe now wants to deal with. In order to deal with that, so we already saw the beginning of the test. We're going to start from the top of Kuf Lamed Hey, but what did we see in the beginning of the test? We saw a big Chiddush. The Chiddush that the Rebbe says, that Pasuk, V'kibul Yehudim, which we all read on Thursday night and Friday morning, right? That Pasuk comes after the miracle of Purim. We said before in the Maimer, and this is brought in different places, and you also saw in the Maimer that you learned with Mendel, that Kibul Yehudim is that the Jews accepted the Torah more powerfully at the time of Purim because of the Mesiras Nefesh at the time of Purim. That's the pshat in that pasuk. It says Kibul Yehudim Esir Chalul says the Jews accepted that which they had only begun to accept at the time of Matan Torah. Why the Mesiras Nefesh at Purim? But And you might have noticed it's rather, one of the things noticed in the Mimer, but when you're learning the Megillah and you've seen it in the Mimer, it's really very striking. It's right at the end of the story, mamash at the end of the story. As a matter of fact, it depends on how your Megillah looks, but often the last column of a Megillah, if you were looking at a real Megillah, so the last column is thinner than the previous column because there's just less to write. And that's where it's right there at the end, Kibbutz Yehudi. It's at the top of the last column generally. So that's after the miracles. Right? There's no Mesiras Nefesh. There was Mesiras Nefesh, but not now. Right? So the Rebbe says, therefore, there seem to be two different levels of Kabbalah Torah. There's the Kabbalah Torah through the Mesiras Nefesh at the time of the Gezerah, at the time of the decree when things were not looking so good. And then there's a deeper Kabbalah Torah after which the Rebbe has not explained. Deeper Kabbalah Torah after the miracles have happened. So there's two levels of Kabbalah Torah. So too, the Rebbe says, there's two levels of Kosis Lamor. There's two levels of Mesiras Nefesh. There's the Mesiras Nefesh at the time of the Gezerah, meaning the situation in Golus is a disaster, and that arouses in the Jew a tremendous revelation of the essence of their connection to HaKadosh Baruch, the essence of their soul. Yeah? That's Mesiras Nefesh, as it's explained all over in Chassidus. I'd give it another millimeter at least. I'm not sure, but yeah. I didn't I open up here? I thought I opened up here. Maybe I didn't. Maybe that was yesterday. I don't know. Come out of class. So, okay. So that's one level of Kosis Lamar. Mesiras Nefesh is a response to the situation in Golus. Then the Rebbe said an unbelievable chiddush, something we had never seen before. That there's also a level of Kosis Lamar that is a response not to the situation in Golus, but to the essential existence of Golus. The Jew is crushed by the fact that he's in Golus. The situation in Golus is fine, right? After all the miracles of Purim, so the situation in Golus is really quite astounding. Esther's the queen, Mordechai is the... Now, it's also important to note that was also the case before all of this disaster happened. Right, which is just something the Rebbe points out a lot in the whole story of Purim, right? That for the only time that was known in Jewish history, so there was not that we're happy that a Jewish woman is married to a non-Jewish king, but there's a Jewish woman married to a king who's basically the king of most of the civilized world. Right? Most of the people who live in the world live under this king. Okay, we're civilized, I don't know, but whatever, right? The perhaps most important advisor to the king is a big tzaddik named Mordechai. Times are incredible. The Jews are invited to the party. Everything's great. Jews have never had it this good. And almost immediately it crashes like a house of cards when Haman shows up. Okay, so now that all happened. There was a terrible decree, and Baruch Hashem, miracles happened, and we came out of that alive. Baruch Hashem. Then things were good again. Very, very good again. And at that point, evidently, the Yidden were crushed. What were they crushed by? Not but crushed by the situation in Golus, because the situation in Golus was quite amazing. They were crushed by the very existence of Golus. Right? That's what the Rebbe told us up to the bottom of page Kuf Lamed Daled. So we saw this, but we'll start again. The top of Kuf Lamed Hey. Va'inyan hu. What is this second level of crushedness?
But they weren't crushed before the Gezerah came.
No.
So then how can you say that that's what their crushedness came from it being good?
And afterwards.
After what?
After the miracle. They're still crushed. There's a level of Kosis Lamar, just like there's a level of Kabbalah Torah afterwards, then there's a level of Kosis Lamar afterwards. So what is that? The situation in Golus is good. So what are they crushed by?
After the miracle happened already.
After the miracle, okay. Meaning they've gone up a level. Higher than the Mesiras Nefesh. Let's see what that is. The Zesh Yisrael hem shvurim. The fact that the Jews are broken, Mizeshem Begolus, by virtue of the fact that they're in Golus, not because the situation in Golus is bad, the situation in Golus is amazing. Gam kisheyesh lehem harchova begashmius beruchnius. Also when they have width and breadth in Gashmius and Ruchnius. Things are good. Who? Ki retzone amiti shel kol echad misrael, the true desire of every single Jew, who is shiagilu elokus, that there should be a revelation of the Eibishter in Elam Hazeh. The Jew wants God to be revealed. That's the deepest point in every single one of us. Va'ad shezeh, to such an extent that this, Gilu Elokus, this revelation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Neigea Le'etzem Mitzvah, affects the essence of his being. Now, are we aware of that place? Well, that's exactly what Chassidus Lama'or is. Having gone through the Mesiras Nefesh at the time of the Gezerah, the Yidden were opened up to an even higher level of connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that their essential desire is just became revealed. It's not that they created this, that they simply revealed this in themselves, is that the Eibush to be revealed. V'lochein, zeh shebizman ha'golus, that which in the time of Golus, ein meir gilu elokus, it doesn't shine, the revelation of elokus k'mei shaya bizman habayis, as it was in the time of the temples. Ubefrat k'shemizbeinin bezeh, and this is in between the first and second temple. The first temple, obviously, the revelation was much greater. Ubefrat, particularly k'shemizbeinin bezeh, when the Jew contemplates the idea, Shamar Razal, a very difficult and so to speak heavy chazal, but understood very clearly. Kol mishalei nivna beis hamikdash biyomev. Anybody who has not built the Beis HaMikdash in his days, harazakilu nechra biyomev, as if it's been destroyed in his days. The simple pshat is that every single one of us has the possibility, every single generation, every single day of every single generation can be the day that we rebuild the Beis HaMikdash. So if we haven't rebuilt it, it's as if it's been destroyed on that day. Famous Maimer the Rebbe, for bringing, it wasn't a Maimer, for bringing of the Rebbe, and Yud Beis Tammuz Daf Shin Mem Daled, when the Rebbe says that the person who understands this Maimer Chazal and realizes the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed today, and that doesn't affect him, has a heart of stone. Herz von Stein, Steiner Herz. Hine, mizeh atzmei, from this itself, from the very fact that the Eibusher is not revealed in Elam Hazeh, even though the Jew's religious situation might be just fine, his own Yiddishkeit is great, his learning's going well, his davening's going well, he's got everything he needs, his standard of kashrus is very good, his kids are in good schools, it's wonderful, amazing. Baruch Hashem, it should be that way for everybody. It's great, but he's still crushed. Doesn't mean he's not besimcha, which is another issue which we're not going to talk about now, but he's besimcha, but he's crushed. Was he crushed? Because it's not about his religious situation and his religious growth. It's about what the Eibishter wants. And what does the Eibishter want? The Eibishter wants to be revealed in Elam Hazeh. And the fact that the Eibishter isn't revealed in Elam Hazeh crushes the Jew, because the essential desire of the Jew is that the Eibishter be revealed, because that's the essential desire of the Eibishter. And the Jew is connected to the Eibishter. He wants Elokus to be revealed. It doesn't want just the fact that I happen to be lucky enough to know what this is all about and I'm enjoying life because of that. No. The fact that the Eibishter isn't revealed crushes him. Hine mizeh atzmei. Is in ganzen zu treizelt, is completely shaken up. Kosis, crushed. In ganzen means completely. V'gam kishu b'dargas nailis b'yesh, and even when he himself is on a very high level, shemeir etzlei gilu elokus, that it shines to him a revelation of godliness, this Jew might be in a place where he himself is experiencing tremendous revelation. The dugmas of Gilu Shaya Bizman Habayis is similar to the revelation that was at the time of the Bayis. Right? Footnote 47, which we read the first time we read this, we'll read it again. Lahar mi'yadua shelifnei Rashbi lenechav habayis klal. By the Rashbi, there was no Beis HaMikdash, there was no destruction of the Beis HaMikdash. The Rashbi's connection to Elokus and his appreciation of Elokus, and the level of Elokus that was revealed to the Rashbi after the Bayis, before the Bayis, all the same. Korban bias didn't affect the Rashbi. Now, it affected him because he knew it happened. And it bothered him that there wasn't a revelation of the Eibishter to everyone, but he himself was holding in the same place. Okay, so there might be such a Jew. But what does that Jew know? Mikol Makim, nevertheless, mizeh shebechlolos olam. By virtue of the fact that in the world at large, Ein Meir Hagilui, this revelation is not shining. Muchach, it's understood. Shegam Hagilui Shemer Etzlei. Also, the revelation that shines by him, Hagilui Mugbal, is a limited revelation. Because after all, if it's unlimited, it's everywhere. Right? The Kishemeir Gili Ar Ein Sof, that when it will shine, the revelation of Ar Ein Sof, a Bilti Gvul, unlimited revelation of godly light, the Gili Hu B'chol Makom. The revelation is in every place. So it's unlimited. It's not limited by time. It's not limited by space. So too, even in the time of Bayis Rishon and Bayis Sheni, it was limited because it wasn't revealed outside the Beis Hamikdash as much as in. And if there's one place, afilu pina nidachas, even some forsaken corner, she'ein meir sham gile elokus, that there's not a revelation of elokus in that part of the world, that's why, what's the reason? Mipnei shagilui, the revelation, gamba makam shumeir, even in the place where there is a revelation of elokus, even in a place where it's easier to be sensitive to elokus. And when we talk about gilui, what does gilui mean? Just very simply, we've talked about it before. Gilui means revelation. Okay, fine, that's the English translation. But I understand, God is everywhere. There is leis asar panui minei. There is no place devoid of Him. Existence is godliness by definition. No place devoid of godly realities. What does revelation mean? He's there. He's everywhere. So what does it mean there's a place where He's not revealed? How can He not be revealed? The very fact that there's existence in that place is a revelation of godliness. So what does revelation mean? Revelation means that it's easier in a state of revelation to be sensitive to the godliness that's there. There's godliness everywhere. That's absolutely true. But how sensitive am I to that godliness? There are places of greater revelation, there's places of less revelation. I think most people find it easier to be sensitive to godliness if they're walking around Eretz Yisrael. Depends where in Eretz Yisrael. There are certain attempts in Eretz Yisrael to create a non-godly environment. Okay, but in general, Eretz Yisrael is a place where most Jews who come are uplifted and inspired by some more powerful connection to things. Okay, people would probably find that in most holy places around the world also. Right? Okay, they'd walk around and go to some old shul and probably be somehow inspired to feel a little more Jewish in that old place. Okay, fine. So that's a place of greater revelation. A shul is going to be a place of greater revelation than a bar. Can you be sensitive to God in a bar? Yes. If you are, you'll probably leave. Right? If you're sensitive to God in a shul, so you'll stay. But you can be sensitive in both places. One's easier than the other. So our work is to bring about a revelation of the Eibusher that it's le'enei kol basar, that you don't have to be particularly sensitive. There's also places in time where it's easier to be sensitive to the Eibusher. Generally, most Jews who have any involvement whatsoever in Jewish life in any way, shape, or form find Yom Kippur a day they feel more Jewish than any other day. Religious people daven better, non-religious people go to shul. So-called non-religious people. Okay. Affiliated Jews act differently on Yom Kippur than they do any other day of the year. And some Jews, what do? To just show that they're not affiliated, they eat pork. That's a very Jewish thing to do. Only a Jew would eat pork on Yom Kippur. Goyim don't eat pork on Yom Kippur. They eat pork every day. These Jews want to show how he's so not Jewish. Well, that's a pretty dumb way to do it, because the only reason you're doing this is because you're Jewish. No one else would think of doing this. Some Irish guy isn't waking up in the morning going, oh, it's Yom Kippur. I think I'm going to eat some pork. It's just not happening in his life. The Jew, I'll show God who's boss. Yeah, that's a pretty Jewish thing to want to do. Okay. So there's days, there's holy days. There's time, there's spaces, there's places in time and places in space where there's greater revelation. But the very fact that everything isn't, that the Eibusher isn't completely revealed everywhere means the state of revelation is limited. Evidently, I was not there, but I've heard the stories. The Rebbe was wont to say in the days of the Frierdiker Rebbe, it was evidently not something the Rebbe said once, it was something that he said a few times. There's Shver had Mashiach in the cupboard. My father-in-law has Mashiach in the cupboard. The problem is it's not on Kingston or Eastern Parkway. By the Shver, it's Mashiach. Mashiach's in the cupboard. It's there. It's just not anywhere else. So what's the idea? It should be somewhere else. Exactly what the Rebbe is saying here. True revelation means it's everywhere. V'zeh mashemuva, and that which is brought by Maimer Admar Zokin in the Maimer of the Alter Rebbe. Not in Torah or Likkutei Torah. As you can see the footnotes in what's called Maimarim Ketzarim. Short Maimarim of the Alter Rebbe, which were printed together in one volume, maybe two, I think one. The Isa b'tikunim, it says in Tikunim Zayar, Shafilim hayat tzaddik echad. If there was one tzaddik, chayzer b'tshuva shleima, Badara, who returned in complete and total tshuva in his day, in other words, a completely unlimited tshuva, hayabah Mashiach would come. I mean, if there's one state of unlimited connection to the Eibishter. Now, the question arises as to whether or not that includes Mashiach or someone else. I mean, there's a potential Mashiach in every generation, right? So that you would assume that the simple pshat in this is it means someone other than that person, because that potential Mashiach, so then he could bring himself, so to speak, right? But generally, we understand that that's not the case. The Mashiach depends on us, which is what we'll see as we go further in the Maimon. Ki al yedei tshuva shlema mamshichim gilu ein sefer bilti gvul. Through complete tshuva, one draws down unlimited godly light. V'gilu yizeh b'kol makom, and this revelation would be in every place. Which means that every single Jew has the ability to bring Mashiach by doing this incredible act called tshuva shlema. I might feel that that's somewhat beyond my scope. Abdullah Yada. And the fact that it doesn't shine to him a revelation of the essence of the Eibishter, who nishbar v'nidke, causes the Jew is broken. Again, not that he's not also besimcha, but he's broken. He's broken by the fact that there's a limitation of God's revelation in the world. Now, it's also he's broken by the fact that means there's a limitation of God's revelation to him. Val derech yadua, as is known, famous gematria, shechoyle, the word choleh, someone who's sick. The gematria memtes has the gematria of 49. What's 49? 49 is the highest level that a person can reach before he reaches the highest level of all, which is called shar nun. Right? It's brought in certain places, not so much in our Chassidus, but it's brought in other places, in other Chassidus, that Moshe Rabbeinu reached in his lifetime the level of Memtes, and it says that a week after the passing of a person, after Shiva, so their neshama is elevated to a higher level after Shiva, also after Shloshim, etc. But Shiva is a very, very powerful elevation of that soul, and if that's the case, it's not brought in our Sfarim, but it's brought in other Chassidish Sfarim, that in that case, so Moshe Rabbeinu, if he was on Mem Tes, when did Moshe Rabbeinu pass away? 7th of Adar, Zion Adar. So what's 7 days later? Purim. When did Moshe reach Shar Nun? Purim. That's the idea of the tree that Haman made, Nun Ames, the revelation of Shar Nun at the time of Purim. Right, so what's 49? 49 is Gematria Choleh. Now 49 is a pretty serious level of attainment. But what? Shagam kishemasig mem teshar bina. Even if a person were to have come to a point of comprehension of the 49 gates of bina, ela shechasel shar nun, but it's lacking to him shar nun ucholeh. Still not completely healthy because there's something lacking.
50th level?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's note 50 as well.
What?
Note 50.
Nun. Shar Nun.
They're saying that the footnote is 50 as well.
Oh, that could be. Yes, the footnote is 50. Okay. V'yadu ma shekosav v'tzemach tzedek, what's known what the Tzemach Tzedek said. Sha'nishma mimareinu v'rabein nishma seiden. You used to hear from the Alter Rebbe. Now, Haya Nishma, the Rebbe is going to point out that seems to indicate that this was not something that happened once. This was something that was relatively common. How common, I don't know. But the Rebbe used to say, evidently used to roll on the ground when he said this, the Alter Rebbe, famous statement, Ich will ze gar nicht, I want nothing. Ich will nit dein Gan Eden, I don't want your Gan Eden. Ich will nit dein Olam Haba, I don't want your Olam Haba. Ich will mehr nit as dich allein, I only want you. In other words, what? I don't want any state of revelation, I don't want any state of incredible pleasure that I would get as a result of these tremendous states of revelation. What do I want? You, Atzmus. Why is that so astounding? Because after all, I mean, if we were to learn, and we have learned, that Gan Eden is one level, and Elam Haba is another level, and Atzmus is the highest level, so if they tell you which, what do you want behind curtain number 1, curtain number 2, and curtain number 3, and curtain number 1 is 1 million, curtain number 2 is 10 million, and curtain number 3 is 20 billion, so I mean, why do you have to be so great like the Alter Rebbe to take 20 billion? I don't understand. If that's a greater level, why do you have to be the Alter Rebbe to say that? Why do we keep quoting this? I don't want this, I don't want this, I want this. Okay, well, if this is higher, and you and I know that it's a higher level, so then I mean, why? So I guess I want that too. Why not? Why shouldn't I want the higher level as opposed to these lower levels? What's so great about the Alter Rebbe saying this? We quote it all the time. 1 million, 10 million, a billion. I mean, I think I'll take a billion. Right? Some people might have cheshbon, no, 10 million is enough, and then no one will bother me. If I have a billion, they'll bother me. Okay, fine. But a billion is better than 10 million, right? So, some Israeli chevra, biggest deal ever in the history of Israel.
Yeah.
Wiz, some thing called, I just saw the headline. I never read articles. I just saw a little headline. I thought it was Waze. And I said, I understand. I thought that was sold a long time ago. No, it was Wiz. A friend of mine told me yesterday it was Wiz. $30 billion, this chevra. That's a lot of money, right? It's a lot of money, right? Mayanot, we could get new copiers for everyone. Right? It's a lot of money. Okay, $30 billion. That's a lot of money. So if someone tells you 100 million, someone tells 200 million, someone else tells you a billion. Say a billion. What's the big deal? Why is this so amazing? You have to be the Alter Rebbe to do this. What's the difference?
With Alter Rebbe, basically, he'd cease to exist, essentially. He would just be the Abisher. In the other levels, there's a sense of you still involved, feeling yourself to some extent.
Beautiful. Beautiful. That's the difference. When the Alter Rebbe says, I want Atzmus, what does that mean? I'm not going to feel anything, because there's no me there at all. Olam Haba Gan Eden, there's a me appreciating Gan Eden and Olam Haba, and evidently that yesterday's Rambam, I don't remember. I mean, I learned today's Rambam on the bus, so I think it was today's Rambam. So the Rambam talks about the beauty of Olam Haba, right? He's really talking about Olam Haba, not Gan Eden. He distinguishes clearly between the two, right? So even exactly what Chazal mean when they say Olam Haba, they are probably referring to Gan Eden when they say one moment of Olam Haba is greater than all of the pleasure possible in this world, right? One moment of tshuva and maisim tevim, the connection you can appreciate with God in this world, one moment of that is greater than all of the connection you could possibly have in Gan Eden. That's one half of the Mishnah. The second half of the Mishnah says, ruach. There's one moment of pleasure. B'Olam Haba is greater than all of the pleasure that one could possibly have in Olam Hazeh, and the way that's explained is not the pleasure that a person could have in Olam Hazeh. All of the pleasure that could possibly be experienced by all of humankind and animals, all of the world for 6,000 years, all of that pleasure, intellectual, emotional, physical, spiritual, all of that pleasure is not equal to one moment of the pleasure of Olam Haba. Well, must be rather nice. That's why Rabbi Meir worked so hard to get his Rebbe Acher into Olam Haba, right? Because when he was told he's not a Ben Olam Haba, Rabbi Meir wanted to get him into Olam Haba. What did he have to go through? Most people have to go through, unless you're Mamish or Russia, 11 months of Gehenna. right? Gehenna's not so much fun. What do they say about Gehenna? I'm not trying to depress you. I'm just reading what Chazal says so we can understand what we're talking about. Say the one moment in Gehenna is like 70 years of the afflictions of Job. Okay, you ever read the book? My goodness gracious, the Eberster smashed him. Okay, so one moment of Gehenna is worse than that. Okay, so that's not so good. So that a person, in order to cleanse their soul, gets cleansed in Gehenna, so that cleansing process can take up to 11 months. That's why we say Kaddish for 11 months. For a Russia, it's 12 months. No one says about anybody they know that, actually it's very interesting, I didn't know this, that for parents you only say 11 months. Obviously, anybody you're saying Kaddish for that you're obligated to say Kaddish for, you say for 11 months. If you happen to be saying Kaddish for someone who you're being paid to say Kaddish for, just to say Kaddish because they need someone to say, then you say for 12 months. Because you don't have the Inyan not to say that, so just to be sure you say for 12 months, which is really fascinating. But, okay, so 12 months maximum. Acher, 1,000 years. That was his.
What?
That was Rabbi Meir's deal to get Acher into Rabbi Elisha ben Abuya, to get him into Gan Eden. So it's worth it.
What do you do?
1,000 years
of Kaddish?
of Gehenna, not Kaddish. Kaddish isn't Gehenna. Kaddish is just Kaddish. Gehenna. 1,000 years of Gehenna. Whoa. He's out now. 1,000 years has passed. Rabbi Meir was 1,800 years ago, right? So he's done. He's finished. Where is he now? I guess in Gan Eden with everybody else. I don't know. Okay, so, but what Shmuel said is true. In those places, what are you're experiencing something so pleasant that it's beyond belief. Atzmos, there's no you experiencing anything. There's nothing to experience because there's no you whatsoever. You are just completely and totally wrapped up in godliness. So it's not that I am experiencing this beautiful thing. There's no I, none, not neshama, nothing. Yeah, yes, there's etzem and neshama, but that's the point of etzem and neshama. It was up on the board before we covered it with Nigla. That actually it's over here. Because you don't really have to klap al chait if you cover up anything with Nigla, because Nigla is also God. That Radla, Reish Lo Yoda V'Lo Yisyoda, that place that the neshama doesn't know whether it's the Eibishter, it's a neshama. Okay. So what Shmuel said is true. So that's what's so great about the Alter Rebbe saying this, right? What's he saying? I'm not interested in spiritual pleasure. Interested in emes, and emes is you, and it shouldn't be about what I get. It's not about what I get, what I feel, what I experience. That doesn't mean that's bad, but there's a level beyond that. It's really quite astounding. And I think now that we've heard that, most of us would probably say, okay, that sounds great, but first let me just see what it really looks like. Then I'll do that. But I want to see what it looks like first. Okay. Now, in all fairness, and this the Rebbe explains, explains in other realms also that the Alter Rebbe knew what Gilui looks like. I mean, he had tasted the beautiful taste of godly revelation and was willing to forego it to connect to Atzmos, which is really astounding. You and I don't know what it is. So, okay, say this, I'll give it up. Alter Rebbe knows what it is. Still willing to give it up. It's really astounding. By virtue of the fact that Shahaya Nishma, that language, Loshen Zeh, Miyad Marazokin, it was heard, this language from the Alter Rebbe. The Perush Haya Nishma, the explanation of those words Haya Nishma, it was heard. Hu Shazeh Lo Haya Rag B'Zmanim Miyuchadim. Not that only was it special times, Ela Shazeh Davar Rogel. It was something common. Ubefrat, particularly, the Rebbe is going to say an astounding thing. After this was publicized by the Tzemach Tzedek, the Tzemach Tzedek told us this story. Why did he tell us this story? Oh, we should know the Alter Rebbe is a great guy. Okay, yeah, that is important. But that's not why Rebbeim tell us stories about other Rebbeim. Why do Rebbeim tell us that story? Tell us stories? So the Rebbe says an amazing thing. Nitan hakoyach l'kol echad ve'echad Yisrael was given the power of every single Jew she'ikar ritzayna yeh gilui atzmos, that the essence of his ratzon will be gilui atzmos. Not mitzad etzem and neshama, mitzad his conscious reality. Every single Jew can reach that place. Because the Alter Rebbe brought that down into Elam Hazeh, and it's shaykh to every single one of us. Sees the Nasi and the Nasi Okel. Ba'ad k'nei kach, to such an extent that k'she'ein meir gilui zeh, when this revelation is not shining in a Jew's life, umikol shekein, all the more so, b'zman golus, in times of golus, she'ein meir afilu agilu oishai b'zman bias, it's not even revealed the level of godly light that was at the time of the base of Mikdash, which was not as powerful as the level that the Alter Rebbe was calling for. U'b'matz of the kosis is crushed. The Jew wants the Eibusher to be revealed, not just to himself, be revealed. It's not about his spiritual attainment, it's about what the Eibusher wants. The Eibusher created Elam Hazeh for a dir b'tachtonim. I haven't given him a dir b'tachtonim yet. Right? What we were talking about, it came up is when we were talking about you being stuck, you being stuck in your house, dealing with all those things that at some point everybody has to deal with, but it's a pain. Right, okay, right. But here we, and I'm not picking on anybody because we all have to do it at some point, but in all fairness, we also might have to realize that, okay, I'm going to have to spend some time worrying about my house. How much time do I spend worrying about the Eibusher's house? The Eibusher is homeless. The Eibusher doesn't have a house. He wants a house. He wants a house in the hill, just on the block over there. There's a hill waiting for his house. Right now, there's a shack on the house, on the hill. He wants a real house. Okay. What'll happen to the shack? I don't know. I'm sure there's going to be some faint-hearted Jews who right now are thinking about the fact that it'll be so sad that such a nice building will have to disappear. If the temple's built, maybe we can build it somewhere else. No. That's where the temple belongs. That building, that shack does not belong there. Okay, say we're not going to blow it up, right? Bad idea. Right? God will decide when the time is for that. It's not up to you to decide, I'm going to rush the Temple Mount and go blow it up. Yay, I'm going to bring Mashiach. Right, good. Bring Mashiach by helping other Jews and doing mitzvahs and Torah and learning and being a person who wants God revealed as opposed to thinking about blowing things up. That being said, we want it to blow up. We want it to disappear. We want a temple there. We want God to have a house. And if that's not the case, that should bother me. And it's not so easy. It's real avodah. It's not like, oh yeah, I turn on a switch. It bothers me. No. And he asks, a Yid asks, every single Yid, every single person in this room asks God 3 times a day, or Yoser, sometimes even more, on Shabbos, Yom Tov. We should see, our eyes should see your return to Tziyah in a merciful way. Then there'll be a revelation of Elokus. To such an extent, there'll be the Gilui of Atzmos. The highest level of godliness. Unlimited. This is the second level of Kosis Lamar, the Rebbe says. The highest level. This is a level where a Jew gets in tune with the deepest, most powerful place in his neshama. Shal Yedei much beyond Mesiras Nefesh. Right now, basically, the Rebbe said there's 2 levels. There's Mesiras Nefesh and Kosis Lamar. Hasn't said it explicitly. He's called them both Kosis Lamar, but we can divide them. Mesiras Nefesh, that's when the situation is a disaster, and Mesiras Nefesh is called for. Kosis Lamar is things are good. What's bothering the Jew? The Eibusher is not revealed. Mashiach hasn't come. Can't live with such a state. He's meshuga l'davar. He has to figure out how to make Mashiach happen. Bothers him. V'zeu kosis lamar, the Rebbe says. Shal yedei inyan de kosis mizeh, by virtue of the fact that he's broken. Shenim soim begolas, that we're found in Golas. Even though the situation in Golas is good. Magim lamar, that comes to the ma'or, to the deepest, most powerful place in his neshama. Ki zeh sherotzen de kol echad Yisrael, the fact that the desire of every single Jew who gilu elokus is a revelation of godliness. Va'ad shezen negei le'etzem mitziyusay, to such an extent that this affects the essence of his being, meaning he brings it into consciousness. Now, that's an existential state. The Rebbe says. What do we really want? What do we, the real me? What does real me want? The real me wants the Eibusher to be revealed. Okay, beseder. How much does that penetrate into and express itself in conscious me? Oh, okay, so that's the Veata. Right, and who helps facilitate that? That's Meshach, bringing that into my conscious reality. Shalochenu nishbar v'nidke kosis. Therefore, he's crushed. Mizeh shebezman agolus loy yesh. Sometimes in my Marim it says lo yesh. Sometimes Rishonim also say, as opposed to the word ein, lo yesh, which is what we say in English. There isn't. There is not. There's no word for ein in English. It's just is and is not. Okay, so but sometimes it's written lo yesh, is not, gilu elokus. Hu mitzad etzem neshama. Where's that coming from? The deepest place in the neshama. Ma'or shel neshama, the source of the light of the neshama, not the light of the neshama that descends down into the body, but the source of the light, the luminary. She's kashrus belokus, that the level of that, the connection of that level of our soul to the Eibishter, who is kashrus atzmis, is an essential connection. And that place in us, what does it want? It wants the Eibishter to be revealed. That's what bothers it. Why is the Jew doing a mitzvah? So I'll grow spiritually. No. It's not why he's doing a mitzvah. Does he grow spiritually by doing a mitzvah? Yeah, spiritually by doing a mitzvah. That's true. Why is he doing a mitzvah? Because the Eibishter wants mitzvahs, because the Eibishter wants to be revealed in Elamaz. That's why he's doing mitzvah. Right? That's why the Rebbe said that a person should have kavanah when he does a mitzvah, that he's doing the mitzvah in order to help bring Mashiach. Right? When you put tefillin on someone, you're putting tefillin on to help bring Mashiach. That doesn't mean you're not helping this Jew, because you're helping this Jew in Ruchnius, Gashmius, you're helping this Jew. It's an incredible thing. Right? But behind it all is your desire that you hope that this Jew putting on tefillin will help bring Mashiach. Not because then my bank account will be in better shape, but because that's what the Eibishter wants. You can also want Mashiach because it's better for us. It's going to be better for us, and there's no doubt about it. But wanting Mashiach isn't about wanting my problems solved. Right? Wanting Mashiach isn't about the fact that, oh yeah, there'll be no more nasty Arabs. Okay, that's true, and that'll be nice, because Arabs are certainly a pain in the neck. There's no doubt about it, the way they act. Right? Not all of them, obviously, but in general, they seem to be a pain in the neck for most people that they live next to. Okay? So, and certainly us. Right? And maybe that's one of the reasons I'm not saying I understand why the Eibishter does things, but it might very well be, if they weren't around here, people might think that this is called Mashiach. So good, we're living in Eretz Yisrael, and we have our own government, and we have our neighborhoods, and I think of how amazing Eretz Yisrael would be if they weren't around. It would be like nirvana here, which is unbelievable. Right? Get on your bicycle and ride to Hebron and go visit the Avis and the Imahis. Go visit the mamas and the papas in Hebron on your bicycle. Why not? It's not so far. Right? Go for a nice little bicycle. And there's no worry about any heathen shooting you or throwing rocks at you or blah. Right? No, there's no one around. No one's going to bother you. Wow. It might be too good, right? And everybody would think this is it. So the Eibishter wants to make us know that. I'm not saying that's the reason. I'm saying it's interesting, right? How good it would be without them around. Wow, this would be unbelievable without them around. This place would be incredible. Mayanot would be full. There would be no parents afraid to send their kids to Mayanot. Right? All those parents I don't know whether they're real or not. I mean, that's what I hear from the students. Well, my mother doesn't want me to come. Mother doesn't want you to come. Okay, but unfortunately, there's things in Gullus that are also a pain in the neck. But all in all, Gullus is pretty good. Still, it's not what it's supposed to be. So what's supposed to be is the Eibishter is revealed. Let's go a little further. So Ois Tes is where everything changes. Now we still haven't answered our question. Why is V'yikwe Lecher in between Veata tetzave and Kasis Lamar? That's what we're trying to answer. We're beginning that answer by understanding what we just understood about what Kasis Lamar means in our Veata. A whole new understanding of Kasis Lamar. It's not Mesiras Nefesh now. Kasis Lamar is a higher level than Mesiras Nefesh. Mesiras Nefesh is when the non-Jewish world pushes the Jew against the wall, and that brings out in the Jew all sorts of amazing keiches. Kasis Lamar is something I'm going to have to do myself.
What's Chassidus Lamar?
We just learned about it, being crushed to come to a sort of source of light. The crushedness of the existence of Gullus brings about a revelation of the essence of the soul. That's Kasis Lamar. As opposed to, well, again, the Rebbe's calling them both Kasis Lamar, but one's Mesiras Nefesh, one's Kasis Lamar. Okay. Manyan. So what's that got to do? What does V'yichu Elecha have to do with that? Just in between. V'yesh Lema. Shebechinas ha'ma'or the neshama. The level of ma'or, the neshama. The source of light of the neshama. The luminary. Really, the proper translation is luminary because the Rebbe Shab actually, when discussing etzem and neshama and the fact that it's called a ma'or in Chassidus, it goes out of his way to tell us that yes, it is the source of light, but that's a limiting expression of it, and it should be called a luminary as opposed to a source of light. That etzem should what?
What's the difference between those two?
Luminary is what it is. Source of light is what it does, and by virtue of relating it to function is limiting it, as opposed to its being. Meaning theoretically, the sun. The sun is a luminary. Okay, what if the sun didn't give light? It'd still be a luminary. If you and I couldn't see the light of the sun, would it be a luminary? Yes. It's just not revealing that to you and me. Okay. Whereas a source of light, then by definition, it's revealing it. But so really, the best translation is luminary. Shebechinas ha'ma'or the neshama misgalas al yedei inyan the kosis, that's revealed by virtue of this inyan of kosis mizeh shenim soim megolas, that we're crushed by virtue of the fact that we're found in golas. Now the Rebbe says it explicitly. We've been saying it, but the Rebbe says it. He nailish yeser is a higher level. Mi bechinas ha'ma'or the neshama, of the level of the luminary of the neshama. Shemisgalas al yedei Mesiras Nefesh, than that level which is revealed by Mesiras Nefesh. Meaning, so to speak, there's two different levels in Etzem and Neshama. There's a level of Etzem and Neshama that's revealed through self-sacrifice, and there's a level of Etzem and Neshama which is even higher, more essential place that is revealed through Kasis Lamar, being crushed by the essential existence of God. Va'inyan hu, about 5 more minutes. Va'inyan hu, the mihataymi malzeh, one of the reasons Matan Torah, that at Matan Torah, Haisarakas Chola, the Matan Torah was only the beginning of our acceptance. Hechalula says, Ubimei Achashverosh, and in the days of Achashverosh, Haisa Kabbalah, then there was the true acceptance. For Kibble Yehudim, who, now the Rebbe is going to explain 2 different levels of Kabbalah Torah at the time of Purim, right? Which he hasn't explained yet. He explained the 2 different levels of Kasis Lamar, which wasn't explicit in the Psukim. What was explicit in the Psukim was Kiblu Yehudim after the miracle. Okay, so now we're actually going to end up seeing 3 levels. Who? What was the greatest expression of Matan Torah that we said before we accepted the Torah? What was our ultimate acceptance of the Torah? Whatever it is, we'll accept it. Nasa, we'll do it. For Nishman, we'll hear what it is. But first we'll do it. Whatever it is, doesn't matter what it is. We're going to do it. Then tell us what to do. Nasa v'nisha. Zeshigdimu, they preceded Nasa, we will do, lenishma, to we will hear, we will understand. Now, where did that come from? B'matan Torah, Hayo, mipnei shekof aleim har kegigis. That the Eibishter held the mountain above our head like a bucket. Okay, so what does that mean in Panemius, right? But that's brought in Chazal, right? That we said it earlier also in the Maimon. That Matan Torah was, so to speak, under duress. That's what the Gemara says, relative to Purim. Matan Torah was under duress. What was the duress? What did the Eibishter say? Accept the Torah, and if not, I'll drop this mountain on your head. That'll be the end of you. Whoa. So of course I'm going to say yes.
Blackmail?
The Eibishter was holding a gun at our heads. Okay, so what's that spiritually? What does that mean? That he held the mountain above us. So it's explained. It's obvious. I mean, I think it's something anybody can understand. Gilia Milamayla. It was such a powerful revelation from above that there was no Bechira Chofshis. How can, in the face of such revelation, how can you possibly choose something else? Right? The revelation at the time of Matan Torah was so powerful that no one could possibly choose anything else. Godliness was so obvious and so real and so evident. How could a person possibly choose anything else? So to speak, the Eibishter took away our Bechira Chofshis. Took away free choice, which is not a bad thing, right? I mean, I know that philosophers get all excited about free choice, but I mean, God gave us free choice, but our job is to do away with it. It's not like free choice is a great idea. Free choice is a function of being a lowlife. If you're not a lowlife, then you don't have free choice. It's an example of such a thing. I don't think anybody in this room has free choice to murder. Because the free choice is really 50-50. I could really go either way, and I've decided to go the good way, not some other way. Well, yeah, if that's how you relate to murder. No. You've been educated, not in Jewish terms, in non-Jewish terms. Right? Baruch Hashem. There are non-Jewish societies that educate most of the people in that society that murder is completely and totally unacceptable and beyond the pale. It's not shiur. It has nothing to do with who you are, what you'll ever do. Most people grow up educated that way. And murder is just it's not a choice that I choose yes, choose no. Right? If there's anybody here for whom murder is 50-50, please let us know so we'll take the necessary precautions every time we come to class. There are neighborhoods in America where it is, and those are pretty disgusting expressions of where people are holding. It's pretty depressing. There are a lot of neighborhoods around here that have that. Right? Not too many Jewish ones, Baruch Hashem. A couple of small enclaves of Jewish neighborhoods that have that. Mostly around here it's Arab neighborhoods. Right? Okay. It's not just killing us, it's killing their daughter if she went out with the wrong guy. Right? Okay. Part of the society. Not something that has been rooted out. Whereas in most of Western society, I don't know every society in the world, but certainly the one we grew up in, very few people have a taiva to murder. Goodness gracious, someone cuts you off on the highway, you take out your gun and shoot him. I mean, no, this is not what most people do. It happens. I didn't say it didn't happen, but that's a weirdo, right? That's not a normal thing that people do because they were educated. That's completely and totally beyond the pale. So I don't want Mesiris Nefesh to murder. I'm not interested in it. God gave it to me and I did away with it. Mesiris Nefesh is something that you and I are working on getting rid of. Yes, the philosopher will talk about the uniqueness of human beings with their free choice. Not interested. Don't want it. Because the free choice comes from your Nefesh Bahamis, not your Nefesh Elokis. Right? Your Nefesh Elokis wants godliness and nothing else. I have to get my Nefesh Bahamis on board to that place so that I don't have any free choice. And if I do that, then I actually become a tzaddik. Wow! So now you can become a tzaddik relative to certain mitzvahs. Tzaddik Beinoni Rasha and Tanya is not some sort of global description of a person in any way, shape, or form. Relative to certain mitzvahs, everybody in this room is a tzaddik. Murder. You have a taiva to murder, you're like a tzaddik. Relative to murder, you have a taiva to murder. Right? Okay. Relative to other things, might be a beinoni. I might have a taiva, but I'll never do it. Never going to do it. And even when the thought comes in your head, you go, ugh, fair, go away. Not interested. Okay, that's a beinoni. Right? And well, there's another category that we don't want to go there. Okay. Might be certain things that we're not a tzaddik or a beinoni relative to. But certainly some of us are tzaddikim relative to this, relative to that, relative to all, Avodah Zarah. Like Mamish Avodah Zarah, real, the Reisadik Avodah Zarah as explained in the Rambam and Hilchos Avodah Zarah. Anybody here have a taiva for that? I don't think so. Right? Might you have at one day in, misguided youth looking for the truth? Might have been. Because it was out there. But then at a certain point, you probably came to the realization of, oh, I know this is Avodah Zarah. I don't have to go there. And then you don't have a taiva for Avodah Zarah. Like obviously, instead of davening shacharis, you're going to go defecate in front of Baal. I don't think that most people think that that's, I just don't have a taiva for that. Right? Okay.
Is that how they pray?
That was one of them. Not all of them, but that's the one that's most fun to quote because you realize just how wild and crazy they were. Okay, so Avodah Zarah probably. I mean, Chazal say that the Eibishter took away the taiva of Avodah Zarah from the world, right? When we read Tanakh, we can't, for the life of us, figure out. Is that Chassidus? We can't. Yeah. We can't, for the life of us, figure out why these people keep serving idols, and then God smashes them. And then they do tshuva, and then they go serve idols again, and then God smashes them. You ever read the book of Shoftim? It is the strangest thing in the world. I mean, what is with these people? I mean, what is their issue? I mean, don't they know? I mean, I know we read the book. Don't they know what's going to happen next? I mean, it just happened. How long ago? I don't know. It wasn't so long ago, right? I mean, the whole place white. Like everybody got these, strange boils. I mean, all these horrible things happen to them. And then, okay, they get better, and okay, let's go back and bow down to some bizarre idol. Why? Because evidently they had an unbelievably powerful taiva for ruchnius, and they expressed it in all these bizarre ways. The Eibishter took it away. That's what Chazal say. The Eibishter took it away. Took away the taiva for Elokei Kesef, gods of silver. What do some people say? What did he leave? A taiva for silver. A taiva for silver. Not gods of silver, just silver. Right? We look at them and we don't understand. What is their taiva with all this spiritual tumah? They're just so into spiritual tumah. They are up there looking down at us going, what is with these people? They're so into Gashmias. Why are they so for Zunken Gevorn and Gashmias? All they care about is Gashmias. Right? They get fed, like a whole full meal, and they'll complain that the egg was a little dry. It wasn't exactly the way the egg is supposed to be. What's wrong with these people? Right? The pieces in the salad were too small today. They were bigger yesterday. I liked them yesterday. Why didn't he cut up the onions into smaller pieces? It was a big piece, and I had to cut it up because they were big pieces. And you eat one of those, you get, whoa, so you have to cut it in two. Just,
Wow.
wondering what people were kvetching about at breakfast yesterday. Right? I don't know. Right? Okay. Right? So they look at us, they can't figure it out, like why we're so into Gashmis. We look at them, we can't figure out why are they so into spiritual tumah. Okay, so every single one of us in this room, because the Eibishter took it away and he's kind to us, he took away the taiva for Avodah Zarah, so we don't have a taiva for Avodah Zarah. Right? Now some Jews do. The ashrams are full of Jews looking for something spiritual. Right? Right? The ashrams are full of it. That's okay. Say that. That's who's there. I don't know what it is now, but it was when I was. This is 30 years ago. I saw this statistic. 35% of all cult members in the United States are Jewish.
What?
Right? Okay, Jews are less than 1%, but where are we holding in the population? 2%. 2%, yeah? 2%, let's say 2%. 2% of the population, 35% of all cult members. Why? Because Jews have this nefesh elokis that's dying to express itself. And there are Jews who will get involved in absolute shtus. 100%. 100%. Okay. What are you going to do? Let's just read a couple words of the Rebbe before we stop. So what happened in Matan Torah? Why do we accept the Torah? The Eibishter took away our free choice. Why? He showed himself to us. What free choice? Avram Avinu went to the Akedah. God said, go sacrifice your son. Chassidus explains, so what's the big deal? He sacrificed his son. God told him to. Why are we so impressed? God tells you to do something, so you're not going to do it? I don't understand. What's the big deal? Chassidus asked the question. It's interesting. What's the answer to the question? He did it b'simcha. That's the test. Did he do it only by Kabbalah's ol and grunt and groan the whole way because, oh, this is so hard? Or did he do it b'simcha? God told him, so what's the Havamina? God comes and tells you, and you know it's God. It's not a psychotic experience, and you know it's God. And God says, go do something that's the hardest thing you've ever been asked to do. We just do it. I mean, what's the big deal? Of course you're going to do it. God just told you. Like, Mamish, really, the Eibishter, you had a prophetic experience, and God told you to do it. So there's no questions. Okay, so that's Matan Torah. Gilui milamaylu. Bimei achashverosh hayzakabel mitzad atzma. And in Purim, it was mitzad themselves. It came from below. Oh, that's really interesting. Let's read one more line.
What came from below?
Accepting the Torah came from themselves. Now the Rebbe is going to connect this to something we've seen. I'm just going to read the line. We're not going to explain it. I just want you to see where the Rebbe is taking us. So you'll get up in the morning. V'yesh lemer she'amunah d'Yisrael mitzad zeh, the amunah of the Jewish people. Mitzad zeh she'neshama shelamayla roya elokus, that the neshama sees elokus. You remember that with the two levels of emunah, right? The mazli chazi and etzem and neshama. So what corresponds to seeing elokus? Emunah mitzad siba, an emunah that's a function of a reason, an event that happened. Hu al derech shigdim nasa l'nishma matan Torah. That's like nasa v'nishma matan Torah. We saw the Eibishter, so we expressed emunah, nasa v'nishma, because we saw him. He was right there. Mitzad gilui shalamayla, and we're going to see that we'll continue tomorrow. But Purim came from below. Came from below, but it really came from a higher place above. It came from Etzem and Neshama, but that happened as a result of our Avodah. But we're going to see there's going to be two levels of that also. There's the level of it coming from below, mitzad our Avodah, but that was produced by virtue of the situation in Gullus. And then there's a higher level of it coming from us that was produced by our bringing ourselves to a point where the essential existence of Gullus is what's killing us, not the situation. So Moshe Rabbeinu is trying to arouse that in the Jewish people. The question is, are they going there or not? It's up to them.
Thanks, Rabbi Kaplan. Thank you, Lord.
What?
This
This is what?
is Rav Tzadok. You know Rav Tzadok?
Of course I know Rav Tzadok. It's just not what we're learning. So it's nothing to look at in the middle of shiur.
I wasn't looking at it.
Oh no?
No, I was not looking at that. I was reading something else. For sure not.
Okay.
In here you said when I was translating, you said one of the